Hi, it's Dana here, and I decided to talk about a couple of books that inspired me. Because back in 2015, I discovered the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. He's a German author and also spiritual coach. It's all about present moment awareness, which I find is very important because a lot of us tend to focus a lot on the past. A lot of us tend to focus a lot on the future. The past, it's not so good to focus on the past or the future too much because it can drain us of energy if we wallow too much in negative emotion connected to either the past or the future. And I speak from my own experience because um, for most of my early adult life, I was very ambitious, I was very focused, I was positive, and I still remember back in 2008, something like that. I was at drama school at the time, and I still remember very well. I was reading this actors magazine called Cast. That was back in Germany. And I remember I was spending the weekend at my parents' and I was reading that magazine. And I was reading about actors being unemployed and therefore depressed. And that it's quite common among artists that don't do particularly well, that eventually they become depressed. And at the time, I was so positive. I was so full of self belief, so full of confidence and hope. I was laughing at that. I was saying to myself, depression, what is that? I will never be depressed. I don't understand how people become depressed. I love life. I love what I do, and I know I will do well. So I've been doing fairly well for the next few years. But as it happens, life tends to throw challenges at us, and eventually, shit happened. And when I was, I don't know, it was about 2013, 2014, when I had a really tough time personally. And I don't want to go too much into detail on that, but I had a tough time. Things happen in life. And then on top of that, when was it? May 2014, my dad died. And it came as a big shock. And as a result of that, my positivity and my ambition and my focus, not completely, but to some extent, gradually dropped. And I didn't take as much action towards my acting career and also music, which I also love. I'm very passionate about music and art in general, performing arts. My focus kind of dropped and I started feeling really low. And on top of that, um, my mom didn't tell me that when my dad was very ill, that none of them could work because he was very ill for like a year before he died. And I hardly had a clue because my parents, what I need to explain is in 2012, I moved to the UK. I moved to London. And my parents obviously were still in Germany. So I was very focused on working. And 2013, the year from between May 2013 and May 2014, I wasn't visiting my parents for a year because I thought they were fine. My mom didn't tell me how ill my dad actually was. Excuse me. Can't be without coffee in the mornings. And anyway, I had no clue what was actually going on. So I haven't seen my dad for a year. I haven't seen my parents for a year. And because my mom didn't want me to worry, she kind of buried her head in her sand, which is not the right thing to do. Um, yeah, it came as a shock because it's a very complex story. So my mom, she's got a mental illness on top of that, yeah. She's suffering from psychosis, and as a result of that, she's got someone taking care of her finances. And my mom was taking care of my dad, who was physically very ill. He had a bad accident back in 2009, and he was a bit older as well. And he survived the very bad accident back in 2009, but he never really completely physically recovered. He was just surviving. And to cut a long story short, things got really bad for him kind of summer 2013. And the last time I saw him was May 2013. And obviously, I kept in touch with my mom via phone, as I do. And she said, "Oh, your dad doesn't feel very well, but he's gonna be all right." And since I was a little child, I was used to my dad being very active, very strong. He always kept saying he's gonna live till he's 100 years old. He was such a survivor, and he was looking after his health really well as well. He didn't smoke, he didn't really drink much. He was, you know, being very active with cycling and mountain climbing and skiing, even when I was a child, and loads of stuff, swimming. So I saw him as a person who, if he gets ill, he will get well again. But to cut a long story short, he never really recovered, and yeah, he died in May 2014, and that was traumatic for me because you don't reckon with these things. And then the reason why I'm telling you this whole story is because all the stuff that happened during that time, kind of between 2013, 2014 especially, set me from, I had my whole focus on my acting career before that, yeah? Between the year of 25, really, when I started drama school the first time, and 2013, 14, for almost 10 years, I was solely focused on being a performing artist. I was working on films, I was working on theater, I was always creative. But as these things happened that weren't very good, I started going on a spiritual journey. I started reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. As I said, he's a German author, and he helped me to focus on the present moment again. So I bought his book, which I don't have anymore. I gave it to a friend a couple years ago. I will buy it again because I want to read some passages out of this book and share them with you and talk about it, because I love analyzing the stuff. But also, as I had this momentum going, I discovered the law of attraction. And that's a topic I'm very passionate about because I've seen in real life that whatever you focus on, it kind of happens, good and bad. That's why the mind is a powerful thing. And we have to really be careful what we think about because our thoughts create our emotions, and our emotions are energy. And that energy goes out there, creates our vibe, and that attracts either good or bad things into our life. At the same time, also, it kind of influences which actions we take. It makes sense. If you feel good, you're more likely to take positive action in your life, action that benefits you and the people around you. Whereas if you have negative emotion, you tend to do the bad stuff. So it's fascinating stuff. I love talking about this stuff, and I decided to do some videos about different books that I'm reading and that inspired me. So I will get The Power of Now again at one point, and also something I definitely want to get is The Complete Reader by Neville Goddard. This guy is all about imagination creates reality. I've heard about Neville Goddard from different YouTubers on here. There's also a channel called Nevolution where you can listen to, Neville Goddard. Someone is reading him, but also I want to read him, but not just read him, but also discuss what I'm reading, because imagination creates reality. Again,